Hello, my name is Emmanuel Abua, and welcome to my intimate space. So I'm sorry that I'm having to do this on the floor, but it's just because my TV is located this close to the floor. I would have tried to find a way to prop it up, but I just can't seem to figure that out. So I decided to come low myself. Here we are. I hope this would not affect my grade in any way. But anyways, to proceed, the rest of the members of my team are Casey Bush, who did DP1, and Michael Saunders, who did DP2. Um, Before I proceed to talk about this final progress report, I'd like to go over a few sections that were covered in the previous progress report. So those sections were the mission statement, which we use to describe our product, to propose the benefits of our product, to show the key goals we have in order to achieve this product, and we also defined our primary market for the product, which we already knew was Virginia Tech students. So I have that written up here. The primary market is Virginia Tech students, and then from this we also created a customer profile. We created a fictional, if you'd like to say, character who had all the problems that our solution was going to solve. So this person was supposed to be one who went outdoors most of the time, who enjoyed reading long walks in the sun, who didn't own a car per se, but had a bike and liked biking around, like nature. Because our device, the idea we came up with to solve one of the problems for Virginia Tech students, was going to be in the sector of phone charging. And this device was supposed to be a solar powered cell phone charging device that stored energy from the sun and then charged the phone while outside and even when indoors without the sun. So this customer fit the profile to need that product. And then we also came up with a use case, an example to see when this customer might need the product. An example we had was, say they were at the library and forgot to get their cell phone charger. Then this customer would have to, and say they had a class immediately afterwards where they were going to have to use the phone. So they would need to have this backpack already charged on them, and then they can walk to wherever they're headed and have their phone charged on the way. We also came up with a few customer needs which we sourced from customers, and most of these customer needs touched areas of dependability, like the efficiency of the phone, aesthetics, because people wanted the phone, the device to look good. And then some people, this was one of our highest ranked customer need, and it was based on the weight of the device, the bulkiness of the device. It made sense because you don't want to lug something around when you could just have your wired, you could connect anywhere. So this also played a factor in our target specifications, because we did a QFD analysis and came up with list of we came up with a correlation factor. We compared this device to a MagSafe charger, and then we found out that our that mass, weight in this case, had the highest technical importance. So that led to my statement that the weight of the device is a huge factor. I hope you can see this a little bit clearly. I'll try to zoom and not mess up this time. But the weight of the device was put into consideration, and then we came up with our combination table after the specifications. We did a functional decomposition, and then we came up with our concept generation and concept selection. And in doing all that, we found different concepts that could fit this need that we got from our customers. So we had 3 different sub-functions. One of them was the strap type, the other was the phone mount, and the other was the battery location. So we could either go with a magnetic, elastic, or buckle, or we could do elastic springs or C-clamp for the phone mount, and the battery location also behind the phone, the side of the back, or below the phone. This is what our combination table looks like, and these are the devices, the concepts we decided to combine and have. And then we went with one later on, and this led to our 3 S's. Sorry about that. So we made sure the device was secure, safe, and solid, also stemming from the customer needs for dependability and durability of the product. And then to move on to the financial area, right now what we have is a device that fits all these requirements I just spoke about. It costs around $47.73 to make. These are the parts that go into the making of this device. It has a solar power panel and wire and harness, which we had to buy, and then a few other things like the battery springs and the batteries and springs, which we also bought, a charging cord, which we also bought, a USB board, and a solar to DC board, which we also bought. Sorry, the rest of the items we 3D printed, so we basically just had to come up with estimates for these prices, and then we ended up with a final cost of making the product of $47.73. And after doing all of this for the bill of materials, we decided that the device will be provided at $84.99 per purchase. We know this is a pretty high value, but in comparison to most devices on the market today, we think it's totally worth it. To make sure that we are providing the optimum device at this price point that we've set, we had to do a failure mode and effect analysis to make sure that the device wouldn't fail immediately the customer decides to use it. We had a couple of items like the electronics that strap the buckle and the C-clamp, the potential failure modes, the potential effects of these failures, and the severity of these failures. And all of these led to an RPN value, which we calculated. And here we find out that the electronics has the highest RPN value. Therefore, it leads to my statement saying that the critical failure mode, the critical piece or the critical item in this device that could go wrong and mess everything we've worked for to make the design work would be the electronics. If the electronics quit working and the phone stops charging, then the product is no longer viable. So we had to focus on the electronics, and we had to do it a couple of times. We had a couple of boards burn out on us, but we did it a couple of times and we finally perfected it. We also did a design for assembly to make sure that if we wanted to go bigger, if we wanted to take this away from here and have like a large factory, we would be able to estimate the amount of time it takes to assemble the devices. So our conclusion was that it takes about 4 minutes after doing the analysis to assemble a single device from the electronics to the belt strap. And then we came up with our CAD models following all the customer needs and all the safety and security measures. We had the buckle strap, some of them we used magnets, but these were all just iterations of the product to find out which one worked out. We had a couple come to life, as in we 3D printed them, but we finally had a final prototype, which we got after a couple weeks. And this is not perfect yet, but it's just a couple weeks and we've already gotten this. So imagine what would happen if we decided to go for an entire year. And we made sure that there were no patent violations. We checked everything and we made sure that we weren't violating anything in coming up with this final prototype. So now that we have this final prototype, which technically is a version 1.0, for our version 2.0, which hopefully we might make if we decided to take this beyond the class, we would make the device an entire backpack instead of just a singular device. Because I think it was one of our solutions to have a backpack instead, one of our ideas beginning in choosing this product for VTAPs. But we decided to skip that idea because it was risky and a very tough market to break into. But now we could decide to improve this device to an entire backpack with a pocket where you could just slide the phone in and have it charging. So it would use flexible solar panels and would have, say, a hot pocket if you wanted to give it a fancy name for the phone. And we could increase the charging efficiency and allow for the various phone types to be charged as well in a version 2.0. So right now the device is ready for purchase and delivery to Virginia Tech students. this is what it looks like. We hope it looks good and you'd like to purchase it. But you can always contact us later. We would have our information available in a couple other, say the DP report or something. We'll provide our information and then you can reach us for the product. Well, that's all for me. Thank you for listening.